And I have 7 o'clock on Tuesday, August 16th, 2022, and I call this meeting to order. Hey, Janet, will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Diaz?
Yes.
Councilmember Juan?
Here.
Councilmember Wolf?
Here.
Vice Mayor Tillman?
Here.
Mayor Cloven?
I'm here as well. And with that, we'll move on to item number 2, which is the meeting protocol video, and that is you, Janet. Please roll it. Janet.
Tonight's meeting will be conducted both in person and remotely via Zoom. As a courtesy and technology permitting, members of the public may continue to provide live remote oral comment via the Zoom video conferencing platform. However, the city cannot guarantee that the public's access to teleconferencing technology will be uninterrupted, and technical difficulties may occur from time to time. This meeting is also being webcast on the City of Clayton's website. The mayor will call upon its council, presenters, staff, and other speakers by name and ask that they speak clearly and state their names before giving comments or remarks. The mayor will call on members of the public that are attending in person first, and then shall call on members of the public that are participating via Zoom. Persons participating via webcast and Zoom with their cameras enabled are reminded that their activities are visible to viewers. Members of the public participating in person wishing to speak on an item may submit a speaker card with the city clerk. Members of the public participating by Zoom wishing to speak should use the raise hand feature or dial *9 and the mayor will call upon them at the appropriate time. Telephone attendees will be called upon by the last 4 digits of their phone number. It is requested that public speakers state their name, but providing such information is voluntary. Written public comments received by the Clayton City Clerk by 5 p.m. today will be entered into the record but will not be read out loud. If authors of the written correspondence would like to speak, they are free to do so and should raise their hand and the mayor will call upon them at the appropriate time. The chat feature is not active. In order to get the full Zoom experience, please make sure your application is up to date.
Thank you, Janet. And with that, we'll move on to item number 3, which is the Pledge of Allegiance. And if everyone would please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excellent. With that, we'll close item number 3 and move to item number 4, which is our consent calendar. And there are 4 items on the consent calendar. Are there any items which any of the council members present would like to pull for discussion? Seeing no need to do so, we'll bring this consent calendar out to public comment or open it up for public comment. If there's anybody in the audience, either in person or in our virtual presence, who has their hand up, please raise it and Janet will call upon you. Janet, do we have any hands?
Mayor Cloven, I do not have any hands raised on this item.
Excellent. And with that, we're going to close public comment on item number 4.
Move approval.
Got a approval first by Councilmember Gitt and a second by Vice Mayor Tillman. And with that, Janet, will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Diaz?
Yes.
Councilmember Juan?
Aye.
Councilmember Wolf?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Tillman?
Aye.
Mayor Cloven?
Yes, as well. And with that, that carries 5-0. And we'll move on to the next item, number 5, which is recognitions and presentations, for which we have none. And we'll move on to item number 6, which is reports. And start off with item 6A. We'll give the mic to our city manager, Raina.
Great. Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Just one item today to acknowledge, as I indicated to you, that we've received a notice from Laura Hoffmeister that she will be stepping away from her role here at the City of Clayton. Her last day will be August 26th after 24 years of service, and we wish her the absolute best as she goes forward. So I just wanted to make sure that we acknowledge her long service to the city and to the community.
Thank you. And that is the end of Raina's City Manager's report. We'll move it on to item number 6B, City Council reports. And since you're in virtual land, Council Member Wolf, will you start us off?
I will. 3 times in a row now. That's amazing. Okay, thank you. I'll try to make this brief. I had met with Raina, our city manager. I met with you, Mr. Mayor. I met with our vice mayor. I also met with a couple of potential candidates for city council. We're coming up soon. And I got together with or sent out some notice to the principals to restart our Do the Right Thing program, which will restart on September 20th with 2 awards, one for inclusion and the other for courage. Those are the traits for the last few months. Had a meeting today with the church, the Clayton Community Church, and the CBCA are getting together to once again host a Halloween event in the city of Clayton, a trunk or treat, and also there's going to be a business component. And so we got a committee together, and we are going to put that on October the 30th, with much more to come on that. But it looks to be a bigger event than last year, and it'll be a lot of fun. And let's see what else. I want to send out condolences to Braden Fahey's family. As you know, he's the young man that passed away during a sporting event. And they raised a lot of money in their GoFundMe account, and I want to send out condolences to them. I also want to thank Laura Hoffmeister for her long service to Clayton. I know that we'll be talking about that, I'm sure, as we go down the road. But she did a bang-up job for such a long time here in Clayton. And then finally, I've been getting some calls. I saw a lot of things on social media with regard to the fountain and what it costs to run the fountain. And Raina, if you wouldn't mind, I know you spoke about this at the last meeting, but I think people are confused as to where the $1,600 figure came from. And I know that we're going to talk about our fees and schedules later, but if you could reiterate just what that was all about to kind of clarify the situation, we would really appreciate that. So that is my report, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Wolf. Is that now is a good time to address his question, Raina?
Thank you. I'd be happy to address that briefly. As was stated in the council report at the August 2nd meeting, in 2018, staff had done an estimate of the cost to run the fountain at that time, and that was $1,350 approximately. And the $1,600 is the $1,350 increased for inflation over that time period. So that's exactly how the $1,600 was determined. I will say that as we have been looking at the fountain fees and charges more, along with our overall fee schedule, as well as some of the questions that have come up to me as well since that item at our last council meeting, one of the things that we already have underway is really pulling all of the PG&E records for the fountain and trying to really isolate what the costs are and where the costs are coming from in terms of the different components of the fountain, et cetera. And really scrubbing that analysis to make sure we understand what the current costs are for background operation as well as for special operation. And then making sure that we have that information, and whether it turns out to be less than 1,300, 1,600, we'll know what that number is, and we'll also be able to have that information associated with a proposal for updating the fee schedule for any private requests for fountain operation. So more to come on that. I think it's a good time for us to do that analysis to really evaluate that estimate from 2018. And so you will hear back from that in the context of the fees, as well as my working with the Trails and Landscape Committee on overall fountain operations, if you will, since that is funded from the Landscape Maintenance District.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it. And with that, Councilor One, would you like to have your report?
Sure. So I'm going to jump right into the fountain because Raina and I had an extensive conversation about the fountain and about essentially what she just said. I wasn't present at the last meeting, so I was on vacation, but I did watch the video, so good job having a meeting. It was awesome. But the $1,600 figure did strike me. You know, when I pulled up the budget from the 2021 year for the LMD, you know, it reflected, there was a notation that reflected something like $160 per day. And so it seemed incongruous with what was said at the time. So I think our conversation was great. I think there's a lot of, we just need more information, essentially, because I think it just doesn't seem to comport with what we would expect. And yeah, so I'd love to see the basis of the thing. And ultimately, you know, I suggested that the real way to find out what the utilization is to put a meter, like a meter on, and measure the watts on a daily basis, and then we can calculate what it actually is. It may be more difficult to pull up invoices and isolate it based on, you know, what's shared, but if you measure the watts on the pumps, you'll be able to get a real number. So we'll see what comes of that, and that'll be great. I did take a lot of, there was a lot of conversation regarding pavement, of course, one of our favorites. And hopefully, as our city engineer is able to look around town, we'll be able to get more information around areas that have potential to be, that need work. So I'm glad to see that work continuing. And other than that, it was just a lot of phone calls and emails.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And with that, we'll move to Councilmember Diaz.
Okay, on the 3rd of August, we had the 4th and final Clayton Classic Car Show. The last two, I have to say, were absolutely unbelievable in attendance. In the one prior to the 3rd, or the 2nd, we had probably in excess of 30 plus cars, and we had closer to 40 cars that night, and then we had about 30, 35 on the final one. It was a great night. I want to thank Sandy Johnson for participating and assisting and helping with some of the giveaways that we provided to the attendees, not only the people that participated in the show, but the people that came up there and saw all the vehicles that were on display. And she provided some extra T-shirts that were left over from, 2 or 3 years ago from the Art and Wine Festival, and everybody really enjoyed getting those. On the 10th, I attended the Morgan Territory Community Association meeting. Things seems to be working out there as they are now moving from District 3 to District 4, which is the district we are in from the supervisor's point of view. And things are looking up out there. They're doing a lot of great things to make things work better for them, which ultimately, should something not too positive happen out there, it could have some impact on Clayton. So things are looking very well out there. On the 12th, I attended the Contra Costa County Fire Protection District's ribbon cutting for station number 86. With the new leadership that's in place at the fire district, things are really moving along since they've consolidated with and absorbed the East County Fire Protection District, and have opened up at least 2 or 3 other fire stations with help the entire East Bay area out here to provide them with fire service. On the 13th, we had a concert out at the park, Grove Park. It was another well-attended event. House Rockers were the team that were playing that evening, and it was a great event. Packed house again. The weather was a little bit warm earlier in the day, but then it started to cool off towards the afternoon. On Monday and Tuesday of this week, that includes this morning, I have met with the chief of police and the city manager just to stay in tune with what things are going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Vice Mayor Tillman?
Thank you, Mayor. Not very much to report. There's feedback. I'll try it again. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Is it going to keep doing it? Okay, maybe that was it. I don't know. All right, so I met with our city manager today, and I also met with the mayor as well throughout the last couple of weeks. I met with Councilmember Wolf. I've also attended various parade committee meetings, and we also have a town hall tomorrow that everyone is invited to, and that's to elicit feedback from the community on their thoughts on how that went, and to also set up a structure going forward on how future events will take place. So everybody's welcome. That will be at the Clayton Presbyterian Church tomorrow at 6 p.m. So I hope to see a lot of you guys there just to get some input. Whether you are for it or against it, you're invited. So please come lend your voice. On the 4th, I attended the mayor's conference, and there was a great presentation regarding tiny houses that are built around Contra Costa County. The presenter was Jasmine Tarkoff, and she's with Hope Solutions, and they are partnering with Walnut Creek Presbyterian. And so if you're out there ever and you can take a look, it was nice to see what they've built. They actually have a community of homes that are built for the senior residents, and that's next door. And they're building, let me see how many homes it is. They're micro homes or tiny homes or cottages, and they're going to be built on faith-owned lands. And that's why she also mentioned that Clayton Presbyterian Church, they've been talking to them, which is great, and that's right down Kirker Pass. And they were applauding the cities that are doing that. I believe it's Pittsburgh and Antioch are 2 of the cities, if I'm not mistaken, that are also looking into it, and they've updated their housing elements to be able to participate in these processes. So she advised other cities to do the same if they wouldn't mind doing that as well. That was one presentation. And then on the 7th, I attended the Battle of the Bay baseball game, which was at the Oakland Coliseum, and that was put on by our East Bay League of Cal Cities. And there were other mayors and council members from Walnut Creek, I believe Lafayette was there, El Cerrito, and so it was nice just to be able to, Pittsburgh, to see some of those other council members that I'm not able to interact with on a regular basis, and just relax and not talk business, which was great. It was just nice to meet their families. On the 9th, there was a Library Foundation meeting. I actually missed it because I was double booked and showed up here at the library. They had changed the time when I was out with COVID, and I didn't realize that, so I showed up thinking I was 20 to 30 minutes late, and I was more like an hour and 20 minutes late. But I did learn from our librarian that there will be a book sale on October 28th through the 30th, and she asked me to share that with everybody. So if you guys can come out and participate, that will be right here at the library. And that's my report.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Tillman.
Mm-hmm.
I likewise have been receiving many phone calls and many letters, a lot of them having to do with discussions around our maintenance issues in Clayton, whether they be general weed issues, the fountain, and other issues. I mean, what strikes me is that I've had great conversations with our city staff, both our maintenance manager as well as our city manager. And one of the things that we get as a city council on a weekly basis is a weekly city manager report, which talks about the different departments that we have and what their activities are on a weekly basis. And it always strikes me that we have an incredibly small but mighty staff. And I'm not sure that the city of Clayton, the citizens of Clayton, really understand how small we are and what amount of work that staff actually does. For instance, our city our maintenance staff is only 5 people, and they get a lot of stuff done. Our staff has been down a full-time equivalent in our office, and they still get a lot of work done. And there are people just don't understand how hard they work. And as I read the last city manager's report on Friday, it just struck me how much work actually gets done. So what I'm asking you right now, Raina, is can you please make it a priority to put the weekly city manager's report in a transparent format so all citizens can see it, not just the council members, but all citizens can see what you actually do. I think that will quell any unrest that you guys as a city staff are not doing adequate work, because I'm amazed by the amount of work that you actually do. So thank you. I did attend a TransPAC meeting on August 4th. One of the things, generally TransPAC talks about central county issues, but this one had a particular bent to it relative to future planning. And Marsh Creek from East County to Clayton is being now considered as a route of regional significance. I have a lot of trepidation regarding that, given it's a 2-lane road, and we already have this freeway that comes in on a morning commute with speeds that can be unbearable. And I voiced those concerns pretty clearly to the staff during that TransPAC meeting. They are aware of it. There's no desire to actually widen that road, but possibly add a bike lane to it, which still seems a little strange to me, given how thin that road is. But I'll keep you up and informed about future conversations associated with that. Loved the concert in the park this past Saturday. It was phenomenal. The House Rockers did exactly that, and we were all dancing, and it was just, again, Clayton on a beautiful Saturday evening. You know, there are people in this town who will decry that there is a divide, and they like to talk about our minor differences in policies. But you know what I witnessed on August 6th was truly amazing. Within 90 minutes of a Facebook post, 500 people showed up in the Grove for a prayer vigil for a family who was undergoing medical crisis. They have young children, and one of their children was having a challenge. And 500 people showed up within 90 minutes to have a prayer vigil in the Grove. Incredible passion showed for this family. And as we heard about the child's passing, as Councilmember Wolf mentioned, within 24 hours, $85,000 was donated into a GoFundMe account. You know, with all the conversations about divides, this is who Clayton is. We have a huge heart and a huge soul. We have more in common than we have different. And if we can focus on those commonalities and how cherished we are as a community, that's who the Claytonite I know. And with that, that's the end of my report, and we'll close item number 6. And we'll move on to item number 7, and this is the time for public comment. Now, with public comment, I will always let you have your opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. That's your time. If you have some thoughts and you want to speak for those 3 minutes, please make sure it stays at 3 minutes, because at 3 minutes, I'm not being rude when I ask you to stop, but it's a matter of fairness. That's your time. As always, I ask you to address the City Council with kindness and respect. Address us all as a single unit. It's not necessary to address us individually. We're all doing the best we can in the best way we know how. And with that, if you have a public comment, please raise your hand and Janet will call you.
Keith Hayden, you may go to the microphone.
Thank you.
Welcome. You're going to have to turn your microphone on, Keith.
Okay, here we go. I wanted to give you an update on the County Connection activities since my last report. That is the Central Contra Costa Transit Authority, also known as the County Connection that operates all the buses and transit and paratransit vans that you see all around the county. we are slowly returning to higher levels of ridership, but we still are suffering much like other mass transit agencies and the BART. People just aren't using mass transit like they did before COVID. So we wanted to try to stimulate that and get people back comfortable using buses and connecting with other bus lines and BART. And to do that, we wanted to resurrect what we did last year in the month of October and did a program we called Return to Transit. And we provide free transportation to everyone on the buses. And that's to get them back into being comfortable using the buses and seeing how convenient they are, not to have to worry about parking or driving, and someone else can handle that for you. And then take you right to the BART if that's what you're wanting to hook up with, or downtown Concord. Our line here in Clayton runs from Clayton all the way down to the BART. And we have our two routes, Route 10 during the week and Route 310 on the weekend. And we have protected those routes, even though the ridership is low, just so people can begin to depend on them as dependable transportation. And for many of the other transits, they tend to disband some of those routes as soon as the ridership drops off. And we like to keep stimulating and promoting these routes so people get comfortable and can rely on them. And we found that that's been very successful. So we're going to be doing that in October. We'll have a outreach program to do that. And the reason October is important is because we already have a Pass 2 class program that provides free transportation to kids going to school. And it operates both in August and September. So for those 2 months, it's already obviously underway. We're trying to stimulate kids using buses as well and getting used to that, not only to provide better transportation to school, but to get them in the habit of using buses as they move on out of school. So those are programs that will link up, and then in October, basically everyone will be able to ride for free. So I mentioned that we're keeping our routes open here, even though the ridership's down and the funding is available from the federal programs to continue funding that and make up for the fares that we don't generate. And last, I want to make another plea for volunteer for the Citizens Advisory Committee that works with the County Connection Board of Directors. And it's gearing back up. It was kind of inactive for a while, but we've got some active people that are driving that. They want people on the advisory committee so that they can talk about issues that riders are more concerned with and providing input to the board of directors. And it's getting quite active. Clayton doesn't have a current representative. So the terms are 2 years. We ask that people volunteer to the council, and the council does have to appoint them, and then they go to the board. So please contact the city council, the staff, or myself for any information on those programs.
Really
All right?
appreciate your report. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
And I echo those sentiments. If we can get a person to be representative of Clayton, it would be very helpful. So let's put the word out and who might be interested. Is there another hand out there, Janet, who would like to speak for public comment?
Mayor Cloven, I do have a couple hands raised on Zoom.
Excellent.
Our first speaker will be Kim. Kim, as I promote you to panelist, if you can please unmute your microphone, you will have 3 minutes to speak.
Can you hear me?
We can, Kim, welcome.
Welcome. My name is Kim Trupiano, and I'm super excited to be running for Clayton City Council this November. I thank Janet for all of her help in getting my application in, and I look forward to meeting each of you and discussing issues and what makes Clayton such a wonderful place to live and do business in. And I just want to thank you and say hello.
Thank you, Kim. I look forward to meeting you as well.
Thank you.
Janet, do we have any other hands for this public comment?
We do. Our next speaker is Edward. Edward, as I promote you to panelist, if you can please unmute your microphone, you will have 3 minutes to speak.
Oh, whoop, sorry, I guess I was muted during that time. Thank you very much. I don't think I'll need 30 minutes, but I'll be real quick. I wanted to piggyback on something that Keith was talking about. Obviously, he's taken an interest in the CCCTA stuff. We have a board, or we have a position that's available that a citizen could serve in and advise that so that we can get the best service possible and preserve and expand the transportation we have there. But I actually wanted to make a comment that also dovetailed into what Mayor Cloven was talking about. He was speaking about the Transpac meeting where regional routes of significance came up. I am serving as the city's representative on the CCTA, Citizens Advisory Board, and that's Citizens Advisory Council, and that is aimed at different transportation projects within Contra Costa County here, the Contra Costa Transportation Authority. But it came up at that meeting recently, our last meeting, that when we were looking at the Metropolitan Transportation Commission's map of regionally significant routes, that Ignacio Valley Road is not on that, is not considered a route of regional significance to the MTC. And so I and other members raised that issue. I brought it up first, and then got a lot of support from the Concord and Walnut Creek representatives as well, saying that is a pretty clear omission. So again, I wanted to say this is how we feed back to make sure we don't get overlooked. Those routes of regional significance are the first ones that get grant money and projects thrown at them to enhance them, expand them, or increase their efficiency. This coming year or two, there probably will be some CCTA funding projects for those routes of regional significance. And one of the things they're going to be looking at is improving signal timings. And so I really do want to see Ignacio Valley Road get hooked up so that Walnut Creek and Concord can finally get their signal times down and increase the efficiency of that commute. But if someone's a big bus rider and you want to have some influence on the services that you're getting, I'd say this is a great chance to step in and volunteer to be appointed by the City Council to serve on the CCCTA advisory. All right, thanks so very much for your time, all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ed. Janet, do we have any other hands for public comment?
Mayor Cloven, I do not have any other hands raised on this item.
Thank you. And I do not see any hands raised in the audience. And with that, we will close item number 7, public comment, and go to item number 8, which is public hearings, for which we have none. And now we get into item number 9, which is action items. And we're going to move on to item number 9A, which is the designation of voting delegate and alternate delegate for the League of California Cities annual conference, which is being held in Long Beach on September 7th through 9th. And I will turn it over to you, Janet.
Well, thank you, Mayor Cloven and City Council members. I will be very brief on this item, as this is just a regular order of business. Before you this evening is the opportunity to designate a voting delegate and an alternate voting delegate for the Cal Cities Annual Conference. The conference is being held at Long Beach Convention Center September 7th through the 9th. On September 9th, the voting delegate or alternative will have the opportunity to vote on proposed bylaws amendments. A petition resolution could still be submitted during the annual conference and would need to be considered and voted on during the business meeting. Cal City's bylaws provide each city entitlement to one vote in matters affecting municipal or league policy. Conference registration is required for the voting delegate and/or the alternate. During the last 13 fiscal years, a vast majority of conference and training budget for city staff and city council was eliminated or significantly reduced, except for Cal City's East Bay Division and Contra Costa County Mayor's Conference attendance. If it is decided to send a voting delegate, funds will need to be expended. The conference registration is $650 per person, plus lodging and transportation expenses. The fiscal year 2022-23 budget, adopted June 21st, 2022, approved a budget of $2,000. City Council assignments adopted January 4th, 2022 designated Mayor Cloven as the primary representative and Councilmember Diaz as the alternate on the Cal Cities East Bay Division. The voting delegate form is due to Cal Cities by Wednesday, August 31st, 2022, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Janet. And with that, we'll bring it back to council for questions.
I don't have any questions.
Okay. And if there are no questions of staff, then we will open it up to public comment. And if there are any people in the audience or out watching in our virtual audience that would like to speak on this item, please raise your hand and Janet will call you.
I do have one hand raised from Roy. Roy, I have promoted you to panelist. If you can please unmute your microphone, you will have 3 minutes to speak. And his hand went down, so I don't think he wants to speak on this item. So I will announce that there are no other hands raised on this item.
Thank you, anyways, Roy. And with that, not seeing any hands in our virtual audience, or here our present audience, we will close public comment and bring it back to council discussion. I have been aware of the conference. It's been on my calendar since beginning. So I have a plane flight already booked for 6 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday morning and plan on attending all 3 days and have lodging as well. So I'm looking forward to being your delegate at the conference. Right now, Jim is set as an alternate to the conference. Jim, do you have an intention to attend? I know Holly was going down anyways for some work you were doing with the league as well, correct?
Yes, in my policy committee, the Community Services Policy Committee. I'll already be there. So okay. I'm happy to be the alternate if Jim doesn't plan to go. Otherwise, I'm fine with him serving as alternate if he is.
So, Jim, I'll bring it back to you. You were listed as the alternate on the...
I'm unable. I've got a conflict that week. Thank you.
Is that cost already incorporated within, or is that a cost of the city, the travel that you're engaging in?
So the budget accounts for the registration, transportation and lodging, since it's in Southern California, for the primary, and the registration alone for the alternate, and should be able to accommodate that. Those are the only costs that would be borne by the city.
And that's if you intend to submit for reimbursement?
Yes.
So I guess, are you intending to submit for reimbursement?
I hadn't planned to at this point. I'm already paid for my own ticket and I've already booked my own hotel.
Cool.
Do you need me to answer that too? I had already covered my own, so I had not intended to.
I did expect that the city to pay for the cost for the registration, which is already, I believe, will be part of that. So,
enjoy.
Plan on it. I'm looking forward to communing with fellow electeds and learning more about how we can help each other through some of the challenges that we face.
It was
we'll
quite
be having
beneficial.
a motion and a
We will.
second and some voting.
I think I heard Council Member Wolf up there someplace. I think he
Yeah, sorry.
disappeared too.
There's a bit of a delay. I'm sorry about that.
He's there.
But it definitely is a beneficial time, and I think you'll enjoy that, being able to meet with so many people from around the state, various levels, getting our commonalities and our problems and all the things you can talk about. It's really very informative, not to mention the seminars. But anyway.
Excellent. And with that, I think we are looking on this for a basically a resolution or a vote for delegating our primary and our alternate?
Yes, we need a motion and a second to appoint.
If we already have a primary and alternate, why do we need a
The primary and alternate that are identified, if you could not have your microphone on when you're not talking, I apologize. We're still working out the logistics here. The primary and alternate that are identified as part of your council assignments are to the East Bay Division. This is primary and alternate to the conference. It has been practice to typically offer that to the primary and alternate to the East Bay, but it is a separate designation that we do need an affirmative vote of the council in order to fill out the form appropriately and to ensure that we have standing to participate.
Actually in the document. So I would entertain a motion for the slate of primary and alternate at this time.
I'd like to move that Mayor Cloven is our delegate and Vice Mayor Tillman as our alternate.
Yeah, I'll second that.
We have a first by Councilmember Wolf, a second by Councilmember Juan. Janet, will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Diaz,
Yes.
Councilmember Juan,
Aye.
Councilmember Wolf,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Tillman,
Aye.
Mayor Cloven.
Aye. And with that, that passes 5-0. And we'll move on to item number 9B, which is to approve a resolution of the intention to establish a community facilities district related to the Diablo Meadows project. And with that, we'll move the mic over to our city engineer, Larry Thies. You are up.
Good evening, council members. Thank you for the opportunity to present this resolution tonight. Tonight is the first step in basically a three-step process of establishing a new community facilities district for Clayton. The first area to be included is the Diablo Meadows development that's off Mitchell Canyon Road. The De Novo Homes is the developer. They have submitted a petition that's part of the packet. They were conditioned to annex in to a street lighting district, and they have stormwater, clean water responsibilities. What we decided was to establish a new district for both the street light element and also the stormwater element if the HOA that is that maintains the roads and those facilities and the pipes happens to not be able to meet their obligations, and the city could step in on the stormwater elements. The street lighting is essentially for covering the costs for general lighting along arterials and collectors that benefit those residents, but the lighting in tract is private lighting that's part of the HOA's cost. The district includes 18 lots as part of Diablo Meadows, but the entire area of the district includes the entire boundary of the city. So there could be future developments that can annex in that have similar requirements where there's street lighting, and especially the stormwater element where there are responsibilities that the city has to partake in as being the permittee under the clean water permit with the regional board. So tonight we just request that this resolution be approved by the council to start the process, and then the city will do an official public hearing set for September 20th. At that time, there'll be opportunity for anyone in the public. They'll be notified of the intent for establishing the district and any members of the folks within the Diablo Meadows development, which currently is still owned all by the De Novo Homes development, to partake in the process. And then since it involves ordinance, it will then need a second reading as the third step. So I'm happy to take any questions tonight on the district. And I believe Peter Giles from De Novo Homes is also here if you have any specific questions related to the development itself.
Thank you very much. And with that, we'll bring it back to council for questions of our city engineer. Are there any?
This isn't related to the CFD, but do we have a timeline on when we think the homes will be available?
If Pete wants to correct me, we are trying to get this process done quickly. They have an intention to be under, have sale of the homes in late September. So this is important in terms of a timing process that this occurs while the property is still in the ownership of the developer prior to new owners. They're going to own those single family homes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I drove through there about a week and a half ago. They're moving pretty quickly on the project, so I don't have any questions.
I just have one. Can you elaborate a little bit on the stormwater? Gosh, this mic. You mentioned if the HOA were to fail, then the city would step in. Can you just elaborate on that just a little bit?
Yeah, it's a component of the regional board's what's called municipal regional permit. The water board essentially doesn't want to chase after HOAs in terms of non-compliance. So they have put the onus back on the permittees, which is usually a city, county agency. What I would say sort of the compromise is recognizing that pretty much every new subdivision development has to have some kind of stormwater treatment element if it's of at least the size of like Diablo Meadows, that there are basins that essentially filter the water before it's put into the storm drain system or into creek system. And those are supposed to be maintained in perpetuity. And an HOA generally, will stay in perpetuity. However, they do have the opportunity to basically close up. And so this is a way that if that does occur, then the city has an element to still assess a certain amount to cover the annual maintenance costs. However, the city is being very specific in only taking the responsibilities of the clean water element, that's the basin itself. The storm drain pipes that lead to the basin were specifically excluded. Those are still, infrastructure that are related to the HOA. And so we're only taking the sort of required ownership portions for the clean water.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from council? Seeing none, we will open this to public comment under item number 9B. And are there any hands raised in our virtual audience?
Mayor Cloven, I do not have any hands raised on this item.
Thank you, Janet. And seeing no hands raised in our present audience, I will close public comment on item number 9B and bring it back to discussion among the council. Are there any? Yes, Councilor One.
I'd move approval of the intention as written.
Excellent. We have a first by Councilor One and a second by Councilor Diaz. Janet, will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Diaz?
Yes.
Councilmember Juan?
Aye.
Councilmember Wolf?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Tillman?
Aye.
Mayor Cloven?
Yes, and with that item passes 5-0. Thank you, City Engineer. We appreciate your explanation. That was wonderful. And with that, we'll move on to item number 9C, which is a review of the provided direction to staff regarding City Council request and items open and completed. And I'm looking forward to your report. So turn it over to you, Raina.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't know that it'll be that exciting, but the item before you this evening is a list of the council request items that come at the end of the meeting since I started with the city in December of 2020. In the annual goal-setting session in March of 2022, there was some discussion about these items, and a request was made to bring them back on a periodic basis to the council for the council to review and potentially provide direction on prioritization or any other clarification that might be needed relative to those items. So that is why the item is before you this evening. The list is broken into two segments. The shaded later pages are those items that were requested and that have come back, and there's a brief status on when they came back or what the action was. And then the items that are still open also have so non-shaded, and they have a status box in italics that gives a brief update as to where we are in the process or what we're working on, or potentially some areas that we will need to explore. So the goal this evening is just to see if there are any questions, to see if there are any items that potentially could come off of the list. We love taking items off of our plate. Doesn't happen very often, but one can remain eternally optimistic. And also if there's any direction on prioritization or other next steps. So that is the item before you this evening, and I look forward to answering any questions or receiving direction.
Thank you, Raina, and we will bring it back to council. If there are any items which you have on that list that are open, you would like to give some additional direction to staff, I will start it off.
Excuse me. Do you want to see if there are questions and then public comment and then direction?
That's probably pretty much appropriate. First of all, are there any questions of the list? I didn't think so, so we'll go open to public comment. If there's anybody in our audience or who are watching who are reviewing item number 9C, the list of public requests by our council members in the past, raise your hand and Janet will call your name.
Mayor Cloven, I do not have any hands raised on this item.
Thank you. And this is still in public comment for those in the audience. If you have any thoughts, and seeing no hands, we will close public comment on item 9C and bring it back to council. I just wanted to comment how much I appreciated this table. It was when we go through the process and we have our meetings, we have a list. We think there's a lot of hanging chads out there. What amazed me is that there was a lot that had been requested and had been checked off, and then the way that this data was presented was just as we like it, in a good quality table. And so I just want to say thank you very much for putting that forward. One of the items that's on there is that still is important, and I think I'd like to still pursue is an environmental action plan. It's been a while since I brought that up, but I think it's appropriate. And what I would like as far as direction to staff is for you to come back with a proposal for an ad hoc committee for an environmental discussion and define what that looks like. I would like to be on that ad hoc committee with anybody who would like to join me so that we can have dialogue with our citizens on what would be included in that.
What's the intended outcome of the action plan?
You know, there are multiple things that we could accomplish with this from items regarding solar conservation, solar for energy conservation, water conservation. There's just the environmental action plan has a lot of components to it. It can be really complicated or it can be really simple. And there are lots of templates out there that people have spent a lot of money on. I don't think that that's where I want to go, but I want to get input from our citizens to see what that looks like. I think it's an important step for our children to show that we're taking this into consideration. And that's why I'd like to pursue it with an ad hoc committee first and to bring back recommendations to the council.
I have one as well, but I need to get back in there because it just closed me out of the agenda online, so hold on one second. Sorry. All right. Okay, so mine is from December 7th of 21, and it was the polling of city staff regarding their working relationship with city council. I'm trying to thinking of the city as a corporation, and in businesses, some places have 360 reviews where employees are able to give feedback on their managers, and given that the council is the employer of the city manager, and the employees that are feeding underneath her, I wanted to be able to get some feedback from the staff and how their working relationship is with us, because sometimes that relationship can kind of be unbalanced where there's toxic environments, et cetera. And I would like us to have a conversation as a council to decide whether or not we want to implement a 360 review process, so that we can hear if there are any feedback without risk of retaliation, et cetera, on if any boundaries are being overstepped. So that was the intent of that request. And so if we can have a discussion about that, about how that wants to look. I don't know if it's appropriate to do that now or if we need to actually bring it back as a real action item to do something further on that. But that's where I was going with that. And then also on January 5th of 21, it's in the ongoing, let me see, it's in the completed section. And it was a research into the closed captioning during Zoom meetings, and it's listed as ongoing. Can that move out of completed since it's not completed, or are we not doing it?
We have been working with the city of Pleasant Hill, trying to follow in their footsteps with some work that they're doing. So as soon as we're basically letting them work out all of the bugs in the system and how it works with our government channel, because we share a channel with them and Martinez, and so we wanted to leverage that and basically then end up being able to do something similar to what they're doing. I know that they've been getting going on that, and they are not 100%, so that's why it's still ongoing, but we have a plan to bring that back, and we'll still have to bring that back for action. But the idea of doing it is moving forward. It's just a question of an implementation strategy.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Any other direction from council? Then I will come back and look at my item on page 3, which I brought forth during our budgeting session on June 7th, 2022, which is a review of the city's mission, vision, and value statements. Again, I read that for the second time during our budget discussions, and we were not able to have a conversation about that during our last goal-setting meeting, and I really think this is an important discussion to read that and see if we really are in alignment with those statements, and if not, then they need to be modified accordingly. So that's an important conversation that still needs to be brought forward. Are there any other items for direction for our staff on this item 9C?
No, I'm just reviewing. All the ones that I have left on there look like they're coming forward anyway in 2023.
That's correct. Most of the ones that are sort of permit or regulatory ordinance related.
Seeing no other comments? And we've already closed public comment. With that, I believe.
Hold on one sec.
Woohoo.
There is one, I'm trying to find the date. It's the one that is discussing, from 9/21, the review of protocol of the city council / planning commission procedures, and it reads considered 3/22/21 and then again at our special meetings. That one I still owe you, so it's not closed yet. I was going to, remember we had to end early from the special goal-setting session that we had. I need to give you the red line version. I don't know why there's so much feedback. I think it's this. So that we can bring it back to council and discuss. So that one's not, it's in the wrong spot.
Yes,
Okay.
I will move that, and it will come back with the other vision mission request.
Thank you.
Going once? Going twice, and with that, item number 9C is closed.
Thank you.
We'll move on to item number 10, which is closed session, for which there is none tonight. And now we'll move on to item number 11, which is council request and directives for future meetings, which could be added to the list we just reviewed. So are there any items for discussion?
I have a formal one. I'm sorry, I'm going to add it, but I've said it in prior meetings, I'm going to say it again to make it really formal, is coming up with some process, have a discussion to come up with a process to recognize the businesses that opened up during COVID. Is it in there? I didn't see it listed like that.
It
Where?
is with a recommendation. It is on the very first page. It is the very second item in the table. And you had originally brought it up as a kind of a COVID measure, but the recommendation from staff is to consider sort of a twice yearly recognition, of new businesses at City Council, May and November, for any new businesses that have opened within the prior 6 months, invited to participate and make comments.
This is different. I'm sorry. You didn't let me finish. It's more in keeping with that ribbon cutting ceremony that I mentioned, and so recognizing businesses and formalizing a way to have ribbon cutting ceremonies for businesses that do open, if we can have a discussion about that and how to reach out to those businesses, be involved with. We're not a chamber when we don't have one, but some way that we can be included and invited to those and get the word out to the residents that that's a procedure that we would like to have, or a process. Maybe when they're applying for their permits to open up a new business, just so that maybe you come back with it. Maybe it's something that the manager lets us know so that we can attend those. I'm not sure how to do that, but we could talk about it further. I'll help you develop that when we have our next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other items for future discussion? If not, I have one as well. Going back through our budget, which we just passed in the end of June, and our multiple discussions, I want to look forward to where we're going to be in 2024 and start the process right now. So I'd like staff to put together a plan for a citizen engagement, a citizen advisory committee, and tell us what that might look like, and come back to us in a meeting in the very near future so that we can get that process going, that we can get educated people who want to serve on that to do what's necessary to help bring this forward before it's too late. Are there any other items for discussion in future discussion for our city staff? If not, item number 11 is closed, and we'll move to item number 12, which is adjournment, and at 8:03, this meeting is done. Thank you all for attending. Appreciate it.